You've probably never had the opportunity to look inside a Formula One car before, so let's take a quick tour around the car and look at the various areas where you can make adjustments. This is the front wing, and here is the adjustable flap. Increasing the angle reduces high-speed understeer. Decreasing the angle reduces high-speed oversteer and reduces drag. In general, use as much flap angle as possible without affecting the rear downforce. With the rear wing, you'll set the downforce level on the car. With the smallest wing angles, you get the highest top speeds, and the least drag, and the least downforce. By increasing the wing angle, you'll get more downforce, but your top speed will suffer. In general, use as much rear wing angle as possible and balance it with the front flap. Underneath this cover, we have the front suspension. Here are the springs, dampers, bump rubbers, and packers. And here are the potentiometers for the front suspension movement measurement. Underneath the small cover, we have the front anti-roll bar. Springs are the primary means of supporting the weight of the car. A heavier spring promotes understeer, but allows us to set a lower front ride height, which reduces understeer. A lighter front spring reduces understeer, but means that we have to have a higher ride height. In general, use the heaviest possible front spring to achieve a low ride height. Dampers absorb energy from riding over bumps in the road surface. By increasing the stiffness, you will get better turning, but you will get very poor response over the bumps and curbs. By softening the front damper, you will get better front-end grip. In general, use as soft as possible for best front-end grip. Roll bars control the weight transfer from side to side when the car is cornering. A heavier roll bar promotes understeer, but improves turn-in and makes the car what's called pointy. A lighter roll bar reduces understeer. In general, use as stiff an anti-roll bar as possible for good turn-in and balance out the understeer effect. Removing the engine cover, we have the rear dampers, rear springs, rear anti-roll bars, and the potentiometers for the rear suspension movement measurement. This is the rear damper. Increasing the stiffness, the traction will reduce, but gives you very good high-speed corner stability. Softening the damper will give you better traction, but very poor high-speed stability. In general, use as hard as possible for good high-speed stability. Here's the rear spring. A heavier rear spring promotes oversteer, or less understeer, but reduces traction. A lighter rear spring reduces oversteer, but promotes understeer, with the trade-off of better traction. In general, use the softest springs for best traction. Here's the rear anti-roll bar. A heavier roll bar reduces understeer and promotes oversteer, but does reduce traction. A lighter roll bar increases understeer, but will improve traction. In general, use a softer roll bar as possible to improve traction. Okay, now you've had a good look round a Formula One car. I hope this allows you to visualise the components that you'll be making changes to within the car setup menus.